for the causes for the rural unemployment. First, we'll go for the absence of skill development and employment opportunity. That means the government has to take some step to give the training for the rural people, but government is not doing that one. That the government is lacking in that creating a job opportunity or giving training to the youth over there in the rural area. Next is go for the seasonal nature of agriculture. That means rural people mostly depend upon the rainfall, and also in that agriculture season only they will be employed. Other than that off season period, other than the harvesting period, most of the period, more than 7 to 6 months, they'll be unemployed only. That period they'll be won't have any income to fulfill the needs of their family members. So the government has to give any industry should be launched in the rural area also. That also should be maintained or should be considered, we can say. Next, lack of subsidy occupation. That means a mechanization of agriculture. Here means in the agriculture field, other than the humans, other than the laborers, for the many purpose, for example, plowing, irrigation, harvesting, threshing, for all the machine is used. So if a machine is keep on using in that areas means already there will be a surplus of labor in the agriculture field. Again the machine is used in that means those are having the employment opportunity. For them also they won't be the employment opportunity. Then they also will become the unemployed. So here what the mechanization of that should be avoided in the agriculture, or otherwise create any job opportunity for that people. Then we can adopt the missions in agriculture field. Next is a capital intensive technology. That means private industries or government industries should be launched in that industry. Urban, instead of urban area, rural area, if they launch it means a surplus people, surplus employees or surplus farmers, laborers over there in the agriculture field, this industry can absorb that labor. Then the surplus labor power will be utilized by this industries, we can say. Next, defective system of education. In India, large number of degree production institution has come. Students are always have an intention to have a degrees only, not creating or developing their any skills. So the degree should be awarded only for the skilled students only, not for all the people. So that the employment opportunity will be given for the skilled people. So what we can say, the youth whoever will be degree holder, they should be sufficient. We have to give sufficient facility to update their technology, we can say. Next, we'll go for the remedies for the rural unemployment. So what are the measures to avoid the unemployment in the rural areas? First one, we'll go for the subsidiary occupation. That means a loan should be created or made for the will be given to the rural people to marketing their product. That means they can produce a more product and sell it more product in the market, then so that they can earn more income. Next, rural work program. That means the construction of or maintaining of roads, digging of drains, canals, that should be maintained, or that should be created, or that should be done in the during the off season period, so that the time in the 6 to 7 months that farmers will be unemployment, that time that farmers can be used in that work to do the work in that area, so that we can create the job opportunity for that farmers. Next is irrigation facility. That means farmers should adopt the multi-cropping facilities. That means if it's there coconut tree farming grow is there means in that we can adopt the better leaves, or a pepper also plantation can be. So both can be. That time we can create additional demand for the laborers, we can say, so that we can reduce the unemployment, we can say. Next is a rural industrialization. Means new industry can be opened in the rural area. So if the any industry is interested to open the industry in rural area, means the government has to give any subsidies or any licenses facility concession should be given to that industry, means so that the many people will start opening the industry in that rural area, means so that the people those are in that rural area can have a more job opportunity will be there. Next, technical education. Though, so the government has to create the employment oriented courses in the schools and colleges. They have to introduce that type of a course and courses in the schools and colleges, means the youth those who are studying, the students those who are studying in that course, means they will be enabled to start their own business or own unit. They only will become the business owners they can become. Go for the rural industry. In that, first one is the cottage industry. That means it gives both a full-time and part-time job in the rural areas. These industries run by the artisans with their family members only, we can say. Using this or combined with this work, he has also another regular job also will be there. And all these industry are generally hereditary or a traditional parampariyama அவங்க family members they will be doing that one, we can say. In that no or a little power, electricity won't be using, only the handmade. They work only usually in the local market orders if they give, means on base of that orders only they started making the things. For example, we can say mat, coir, basket making, handloom weaving, cotton, silk, jute, we can say, and pottery work, washing, soap manufacturing, handmade papers, horn button, these and all will come under the cotton industries. Next we'll go for the village industry. Village industry is in the sense they depend upon the local area raw materials, whatever nearby their village, what are the material will be there, on that material only they started making the product. We can say the bamboo basket making, shoe making, a pottery making, or leather tanning, we can say. Most it's similar to the cottage industry only, we can say. Next we'll go for the SSI, small scale industry. They are located near the urban areas and they are sell the goods and service both for the local and also foreign market, or in the industries area. But spare parts for the industries, that industries spare cars, small spare parts can be produced and manufactured by this SSI only. For example, sports goods, soap, we can say, electric fans, footwear, sewing machines, handloom weaving, we can say, all will be the manufacture and giving both for the local people and also foreign people. This SSI also will be known as a micro, small, medium enterprise, MSME, we can say. They are developed by the Micro, Small, Medium Enterprise Development Act of the 2006. Next we'll go for the agro-based industry. Agro-based industry means it is organization on the cottage industry or small scale into large scale. That means, for example, that industry will depend upon the nature. That means the textile, we can say, agriculture, we can say. Nature, agriculture, it depend upon that one. Because of that agriculture only they will be having the industry. For example, textile, sugar, paper industries, vegetable oil, tea, coffee industries, they are all create employment opportunity on the regular basis in India. We'll go for the rural indebtedness. Rural indebtedness in the sense a situation where the farmers or rural people unable to repay the loan within the period of times. They will be taken the loan for a 5 or 3 months or 5 years, means within that year they won't be able to pay the loan to the bank. So it is because of a weak finance or a low rate of income for their family. So in our country, the loans should be given to the needy farmers. For that, the government of India has taken many steps. The loan should be given to the needy farmers, landless people, and also agriculture laborers. But this farmers has taken a loan for them various purposes, like for the agriculture, to do the to buy the agriculture crops, manure, pesticides, and also to purchase the equipments. The expense also can be for the celebration for their festivals, and also the expenses may on for the medicines, the medicines rate is keep on increasing, but their income is not as much as increasing, so they are not able to repay the loan what they bought for the loan. So within the period of time they cannot be given. So the government of India has given many steps. So it has implemented the social, economic and caste census according to the 2015, that is SECC, that is socio-economic caste census. According to that, 73% of a household in rural area and 18.5% are scheduled caste and 11% belong to the scheduled tribe people living in the rural area. And according to NSSO, that is National Sample Survey Organization 2002 to 2003, a 30% of poor borrows a loan from the informal banks, that is private lenders. If they buy the loan from the private lenders, mean they will give the loan for the more interest only. If they give the money for the more interest, mean they cannot be able to repay the loan. So the farmer will be in, they will live in the debtness, and also they will be die in the debtness only. So All India Debt Investment Survey, that is AIDS, that is All India Debt and Investment Survey, credit has declined 2002, we can say, because of this informal channels, that informal money lenders. 66.3% in 1991 and 57.1% in 2002, because from the informal money lenders, because the formal banks has many rules and regulations. This ignorance of this uneducated farmers cannot be cope up with this rules and regulation of formal banks. Future of indebtedness. First one, we can say 3/4 of a rural family in the country is living in the debt, and the cultivators are more indebted when compared to the non-cultivators. Those are in the urban area, we can call it as a non-cultivators. They are not in the indebtedness. The farmers only, when compared to the cultivators only, they are in the indebtedness. Most of the debts are taken for the short term, for the unproductive purpose only, and also they take the loan from the private money lenders or private agency with the rate of more rate of interest. That's why the rural people are still in the in the indebtedness. Then we'll go for the what is the, so much we studied what is the indebtedness. Then we'll see now what is the causes for the indebtedness. First one, we can the poverty of a farmers. The farmers borrow money for the consumption and cultivation and do for the celebration. The poverty and debtness are high. They will take the debt for the high rate of interest, and their interest will hold by this farmers. They can monthly they have to pay, or a 6 month only they have to pay to the money lenders, but their income is very low. So because of this only, the private money lenders will have a grip of this farmers in their grips, because they cannot able to repay. So they again the farmers will keep on taking the loan from the private money lenders with a higher rate of interest. That's why they are still in the indebtedness. Next is the failure of a monsoon. The frequent failure of a monsoon, that is due to the rainfall failure, nature failure. There is no continuity of a rainfall. Because of that, they cannot do the proper agriculture. They will find it is a very difficult to identify which year it is to repay the debt, which year they have a regular rainfall. That year only they can do the good agriculture. In that year only they have a more rate of income. In that year only they can pay the loan. So they will be waiting and identifying for the which year to repay the loans. Next we'll go for the litigation. Litigation in the sense of legal action. Any land dispute between their neighbors or with family members, any problem of their land, mean for the litigation purpose, that is to take the legal action. Litigation in the sense legal action. For that purpose only, they have to expense more money on that, because these farmers who are uneducated, ignorant, they will be spending more amount on that litigation. They will be spending their savings and resources for this litigation only. Next, we'll go for the money lenders and high rate of interest. So money lenders charges a high rate of interest, as I said before. This leads to farmers to be in the hands of private money lenders. Next, this is a causes. What the measure should we have to take to come away from the indebtedness? That means, first, the government of India has launched many banks to give the loans to the farmers. In that, many we can say banks, we can say the Development Rural Bank, Regional Rural Bank, Microfinance Bank, Self-Help Bank, primary cooperative banks, all these provide a loan facility to the farmers with a low rate, as much as a low rate of interest. SHG is charges more rate of interest to the poor farmers. It is ultimately, we can say that education loan is much costlier than the car loan. Car loan we can compare with the education loan, and the car loan means car loan only interest there, that interest only is less when compared to the education loan. So in that, first we can go for the Regional Rural Bank, that RRB bank we can say. It is recommended by the Government of India in the year 1975. So it is facilitated credit facility to the small or marginal farmers, agricultural laborers, artisans. At present, there are 64 RRB in India, and this is also called as a we go for the microfinance. Microfinance is also called as a microcredit. It gives a credit to the small farmers, business owners who do not have a traditional sources. Their forefathers, they won't be having sources. For that type of a people, individual, they give the or lend the loan to start a business. And in India, NGO, that we can say non-government organization plays an important role in giving this microfinance service to the farmers and also for the retailers. Next, we'll go for the self-help group, that is SHG. That in India, it is, we can call it as an informal voluntary association of a poor people. A similar type of a people with a social economic background will be there. That type of a people join together. We can say the 20 women's average of 14 women's join together. They'll form a group. The main aim of this SHG is to they promote the small savings among its members, we can say. Next one is savings are kept in the bank for the bank, and each 6 months they lend their amount to their members and they can charge their interest. Next, we'll go for this SHG is a link with the SBLD, that is State Bank Linked Program, that is launched in the year of 1992. The main aim of this program is to bring a benefit to the poverty line members and also generate the sustainable growth in the economic growth. So according to this, there are 2.2 million SHG self-help group in India, and it also have members. They have own members of 33 million members in that group. We have southern regions like Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. The main features of this SHG is generally economically homogeneous. That means background of these people will be same. On based on that only they will join together. In each group there will be 10 to 20 members. The rules and regulation will be followed, and they will hold a meeting regularly, and they will have a record of a savings, credit facilities, everything they given to the other people. The record will be kept regularly, and also SHG will be maintained there. It is a self-managed institute, we can say. All the decision is taken by the group discussion only. According to that, the decision will be decided. Next, we'll go for a Mathura MUDRA, that is Micro Unit Development and Refinance Agency Bank, we can say. It gives a loan at a low rate of interest and to the microfinance institute. It gives a credit facility to the micro and small and medium enterprises. It is launched in the 8th April 2015. The main objectives of this micro unit development and refinance agency means it regulates a stable, that is stability, it means we can say as a sustainable growth in a microfinance system, and also it gives a loan to the small and retail money lenders, and also for the individual and the self-help group also it can be given loan and credit facility to the members. and also it monitors the process of lending and borrowing loans, and they how and which channel, how they are distributing this capital to the members, all will be maintained a record in that. Next, rural health, nutrition and sanitation. So in India, rural people are suffered from the epidemics such as diseases like such as smallpox, cholera, malaria, typhoid, dengue, chikungunya. All this mainly due to the limited medical facility. That we can say the lack of medical facility, we can say. So to avoid this one, the government of India has implemented several programs to meet the nutrition defective. That means we can say the to cope up the imbalanced nutrition can be given to the people. So for that only the midterm meal will be given, and also midday, we can say the madhyana unavu school la கொடுக்குறாங்களே, we can say that one, we can say. And nutrition education can be given the printed papers, media, television, that education can be given. And also a compulsory fortification of a common salt in the iodine. You can see in the iodine with the salt, iodine without the salt also will be there. Those who are in the less in that iodine, they can implement that salt, we can say. For that only they implemented that one. Next we'll go for the National Rural Health Mission, NRHM, was launched in the year in the 2005 12th April. It provides affordable and quality health care to the rural population. That NRHM is focused on remedies for the maternal, that pregnant women will be their newborn child health, adolescents. For them and all the nutrition food will be provided. It is their taking intake will be regularly going on. They will be monitored by this one. Next we'll go for the rural roads, rural infrastructure, in that we can say that one. So there will be rapid increase in nuclear family, we can. So it is a required not only for the food and also the water supply, good sanitation, proper disposal, sewage, it should be there. Government has adopted low cost of technology, house construction also should be there, and also a low finance and provision, and the government has to provide a land site to landless workers. So NSSO data according to that rural infrastructure, they are telling 38% of in India household in one room only, and 36 people are living in the two rooms in India, they are according to the survey. So then we'll go for the rural roads in India. In the rural road, it is a linkage, the main linkage between the urban to rural centers. Because of that, only the farmers will be able to transfer their product or production or farmer on the agriculture product to the urban area. Without this, we cannot be made. So this is very important for the road construction should be made available to the rural people. Next, we'll go for the rural electrification, providing electric power to the rural area. In India, 99.25% are electrified in 2017, and also 100% electrification should be achieved in the 20 states. We can say the states like Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Chandigarh, Himachal Pradesh, we can say Rajasthan, Daman and Daman, Goa, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Lakshadweep, Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andaman Nicobar, Sikkim and Tripura. All these 20 states are achieved 100% electrification to the rural area. What is the main factor we cannot give the 100% to the other state means first one, a lack of a fund. That means generating or a transmission of a power requires a huge expenditure, and also the fund allocation is very low. Next we can go for the interstate dispute. Interstate dispute means because if because of this dispute from one state to another state, the managing power whatever from one state to another state, they cannot be distributed. Because of that only dispute, it will be very affected. Next we can say uneven train, they can say uneven or improper connection is there, because we cannot have a new line. If you do the new line, mean the expense and the it will be have a more huge costlier, it will be happen. So next we'll go for the power theft. So in rural area, in the high transmission, you can say while the transmission of power distribution is at 25% is lost. While we can say when transferring the power to that people, that is from the center to the household, in the middle 25% is lost, we can say. Next, power theft, we can say unauthorized people or area, diversification of a power, evil practice of a people will be main cause for the drawback. 100% of electrification cannot be achieved. So far, so all this have what is a main requirement for the development of rural areas to be concluded. First one, we can say improve the farm and non-farm farming in a rural area, and also social infrastructure should be developed, and coordination and integration program should be made to solve what is the practical problem in that rural area, and also sustainable development and design should be maintained while creating a program. The persons who are living in that area and leaders with also should understand the reality of a rural people, and according to that the program should be paid. And also leaders should have a main aim to have a future, a vision should be consulted. According to that, the design the program for all the programs should be made according to that. So these are all about the lesson 10. Thank you.